When the seas rolled back and the sand lies smoothed or furrowed, aching at your footstep, that's when you'll see the sand they swallowed and the quiet water welling up, filling up the hollow. Hollow. That very short poem is called Lugworms. Of course, you've got the tiny spirals of sand, which are lugworm poos, or the sand they've eaten. I started with that because I thought I'd choose some poems that touch on the sea. With myself being here in the middle of the country, almost as far from the sea as you can get, as I'm sure many of us are, not that it would make much difference. It could be 10 miles down the road and we wouldn't be able to reach it. Some of you are still by the sea and I'm very jealous of you. At least I have the river to walk beside. But I'm talking about the sea, and more particularly the waves of the sea. Most often now, I float, resting legs and arms, facing the sky, listening to the silent water. It only speaks when it breaks. But sometimes I swim, and others can see the strength in my legs and arms, even a certain grace. Plenty of noise then, splashing. My swarm of activity pushing. Look how much I can do, how deep I can go. Still, it is the sea, the mighty enveloping sea. Carried. I think this was based on a dream that I woke from some years ago, this next one, which has a title, And Who Knows What Comes Next. I woke up by the sea today. It's lapping gently at my bed. An open smell of invitation, all cried out, and telling of the old connections kept upon its valley floor, and living still on a stranger's shore. The sea has caught some sunshine for me. Glitter from the brasher parties offers me a drink. I have my own. It's keen to lift me, floating, given tide enough. There's a harbour waiting. A girl I remember dating more than half a life before, or else a fleet of suns gone pirating, or rescuing the damage done. The sea has come this way, has crossed the city, washed up on this highest hill, and shows a distance moving, longer, shorter, sometimes shoving, sometimes drawing feelings into deeper water. If it had hands, I'd be in them. Still it brings and takes away all the things I've loved, all the things I've loved and said goodbye to, says the moon said I should hold them for you. It's okay, my brother ocean. This is only sorrow. Waters roll, must break and flow and take a new direction. You will see all the rivulets stream across the sand. But stay if you can, offering connection, separation, solace to an undrowned man. And who knows what comes next. How you doing out there? Hello. I've been reading poems live on here every other day, it seems, for the last month or so. Longer, 2 months, who knows. Helps me get me through the lockdown. Hope it gets you through too, maybe. And I've been choosing a number of my own poems, and occasionally I've been throwing in a couple of poems by friends, and I've got a couple of poems later on that I want to read from a friend's book. I don't know if you're out there. I don't know who's able to watch. I've got gizmos and that, but they don't necessarily tell me who's watching. So if you are, thank you. I can see messages. So hello, Saz, and hello, Daniel. Wonderful. I hope you're good. It must be, what, middle of the morning for you. But I hope you're well. Middle of the early morning. So, the sea, relentless roiling, always going, never stopping, and of course, poets use it all the time to describe the inner life. This is one called The Last Gasp. Relentless as the western sea, watching as it drew softness from the rock, brought the stone crashing to the beach below, wore a smooth and rounded face upon the jagged crop. I smashed myself against you, splintered like a wave. Receding, wounded, wound anew beneath the tide to drive again, a heaving shoulder slam, spraying blood upon my crest. And gripping water fingers hooked in sand could not prevent, and screaming cries of horses, broken-backed, foaming manes along the strand could not avail. My tide always over high, too busy drawn by a beguiling moon. To see the gentle beach, you laid me down. And in a similar vein, something of the tide, you know how it is when your desire for something is so great and you don't feel you can cope with it, so you deny it, you back away from it, you step back and say, no, this isn't mine, and then elasticated, you're flung back again. The troubled wave. With moon's back turned, I swore I'd never reach my hand again, or open up my swelling heart to fall and break upon the land, but rather as a shy tide I'd retreat, and with it find completeness in a still, unmoving ocean, calmly justified. But retreating found always that the shore would not leave me, always underneath me, always more, always clinging by its teeth, and pushed behind now a fearsome wall of water, rearing high and bloated, set to fall, and floated on its crest a sigh of no escape. Breaking then upon an empty bed and dashing all away, I must instead let my tidings have their say. The rolling of the waters will not end except upon a shore, upon a gentle beach. And so I reach again for what I must adore. Who's affected by the moon? Are you? Is there something that gets you? I certainly seem to get it. And I know I get the moodiness too. Let me think, shall I? Yes. I'm going to introduce my special guest now. I've often been reading from friends' published works, in part so you get a break from me and to make it not so much about me, but also to give them a shout out because they're worth it. And the two I want to read today are by my friend Hannah Chutzpah from her collection Sign My Citalopram. I've known Hannah a number of years now, and I saw her performing from this as she toured it. It's published by Spirit of the Rainbow Heron. And the tour and the proceeds of the book were all intended to support the fight for mental health and well-being among young people. So I hope she doesn't mind if I read two of her poems from it. The first one, it's fitting for the theme that we have. A poem called I Called You Captain. The good times we shared were worth weathering some storms for. So I cling on in my crow's nest, spying for when the view will clear. But we've been adrift for months, and our goodwill supplies are running low. I had more stashed, so I restocked on the sly, fresh water, rum, biscuits and bog roll. But we're still going to run out. And you still consume like there is no lack. You still drink like you don't care if we are left with only salt water. I wait for the circumstances which were your excuses to bleed out, to float belly up, to be dead and gone. I harpooned them one by one, so we could steer back to clear waters, balmy winds, back to when you were kind. The tongue lashings were funny once, but they've been growing crueler. Lately they are all whip and no wit. I have become bookkeeper, logging the long list of small slights, of favours given and never returned, and I see if we do break apart, we will never break even, because you have a lifeboat. You have no need to settle this debt. I will float on flotsam, you won't even get wet. I scrub the decks, scrub pots and pans, will kick myself after for taking it lying down, but at the time it's just my most recent attempt to mend our sails. At the time I never know that this is the last straw. The same way your keys are always in the last place you look, only because that's when you stop looking. In the thin grey light of day, I start to spy the end of our journey, cold and clear as the dawn. You just don't care. you'd let this ship drift anywhere. I have been skeleton crew for us both. You won't lift a finger to steer this. I am weary, weepy, wondering why I ever called you Captain. That by Hannah Chutzpah. And the second one of hers I'd like to read, a much shorter one, called Returning These Demons. I am returning these demons you tried to give me, palmed off as mine all along. They have been fed and watered, wearied on long walks, hyped up on candy floss and fairground rides. They squealed and squabbled the whole ride back, but they were never mine. Nice try. Their holiday is over, back to you. The little red one needs a nap. Good luck. Those two from Hannah's collection, Sign My Citalopram. Hannah Chutzpah, and I'll put the details of that on the comments in a bit. So moodiness. The ocean's very good at expressing our moodiness. This one's called the Moody B. Meaningless but for the sea. Voiceless but for its breaking. Such a dance of feeling. Arrogant swell, hollow churn. Rolling, roiling underneath a heavy face. You'd think it was the densest thing on earth. It will not lift itself, push, gather, fall, take a breath. Calmer dips and doldrums will at times be allowed, will settle into smooth. Unsettled underneath. Till the wind, till the moon, till the fires run furrows through, till the clash of currents and the reef and the whip and the rage bring the wave, bring it building, burning, breaking, sometimes on itself, sometimes onto rock, sometimes on the pale cold cliff, sometimes on the gentle lent-in beach, giving ear to an otherwise silent sea. There have been times, countless times, when deep, roiling emotion has sat inside me, and I haven't necessarily been aware it's there until it built to such a point that it broke. Sometimes on myself, sometimes against others. Sometimes, of course, you're outside of that and seeing it happening with somebody else. As in this one called The Step. Step ashore, love, please. Will you step ashore? I've been waiting on this stony beach so long, I don't know if I can stand these tides anymore. I don't know if I can bear these winds so strong, or if those shoes can keep the salt at bay. The waters come clutching at my knees, bid me come away. I see you in the waves, swelling from a deep and rolling fury, tethered to the moon. Will you not come home to sleep? The tide is turning soon, and all the churning bitterness will be drawn off to settle among the graves of the sea's restlessness, and I would not see you so taken. weighted with such ballast to the bed, all ties to the steady earth forsaken, and so I turn away instead, returning to my quiet land, hoping you may find your footing too, and not remain just so much driftwood on the strand. Don't we try to mend others? Don't we try to handle their feelings? And isn't it such an impossible thing to do? How are you doing? Hope you're all right. Sorry, my long hair. Tide. I miss the push of the waves, rolling up increases over the beach. The assertive tide and the moon filling out the blackness of your eye. Spittle flying as you break, fingers dragging ripples down skin, red and white in the sand. Then another biting rush, swallowing the land. Such a weight of water, but moulding to the contours of each head and cove, blending temperatures, grasping at the rock that will not bend, seeping into love. The moon turns around, and the slide away leaves little pools. Heights you touched before are left to drain. The flat sand falls. That, I think, is about interaction, human interaction. Touch and hugs and love and kisses, which we're all missing at the moment, I think. What if we could escape or get out of that constant turmoil of the sea? The sea escape. What colossus that sits in the deeper ocean, settled on a skerry, knees in the water, head in the sky. One of us once. They have outgrown the wash and swell of waves, found a place of steadiness in the tides, while we still flounder, spitting brine from our mouths so we can speak, kicking always at what will not support us. I thought one time I might stop treading water, stretching legs to touch the bed they lie upon so unconcernedly. My head, of course, tumbled under, and I choked on a fish's breath, its fart thrown in a dash. Since then, though, I have felt my shoulders' strength grow like a shoreline. Soon I will pull myself up into the sky, settle legs upon the ancient ledges, feel the ocean rolling in and on, listen to the old ones sing a deeper song. What kind of equilibrium would that be? Free of the tugs and pushes and moans. This might help. This one is perhaps one of the more hopeful ones in this set. It's a poem I wrote when two friends got married, a hand fasting. And it speaks of partnership, afloat on the sea. And I called it Faring Song. Sweet is the sound of the swan's road lapping, wind-driven waters. Weird has brought us to the brimming shore, a boat, to ferry my heart and yours. Heave in the cargo, lug on the line, our love make fast in the deepening hold, and dress the sail to catch a breeze, the breath of God's. Out on the ocean, ice-cold waters break on our timbers, burst o'er the swales, and send us running, the rudder to cling to, the bilge to bail, bears us apart into darkening storm, dares us to sail on wind-driven waters, one at the steerboard, one at the oars, alone in the night. Blistered, chilblained, blown through the gale, huddled together in the hull of our love, the sea storm leaves us. See to the timbers, recaulk the joins, and joy in the finding of a tree proven true, a trust well placed. Sweet is the sound of the swan's road lapping wind-driven waters. Weird has brought us to the brimming shore, a boat to ferry my heart and yours. It was a wonderful wedding and gave rise to a wonderful marriage. The two of them still strong together with their young daughter. This may be the last. I think it's the last. I hope you've enjoyed hearing some of those. The video, if you missed some of it, is on the timeline afterwards, and I'll put the set list into the comments and details of Hannah's book. And I'll be reading more in a day or two, the day after tomorrow. And also, if you want to visit my page, my timeline on Facebook, you'll find the previous videos, other readings from other days and other themes. So this one, on the beach, and it's about all the reasons to go and visit the sea. I kneel here because the wave rolls in like a wafer on the tongue, because everyone needs to know breaking. Everyone needs to know the absence of their God. I kneel here because otherwise the sea is silent. Revelation comes after inundation. It gives my stillness worth. I kneel here because the water never leaves the shore. Thank you, my love, because she stepped this way onto another boat once, because my mouth is a shell full of psalms. Oh, I do like to metaphorize the weather. Oh, I do like a pathetic fallacy. Oh, I do like to sing about the rain, 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 falling like tears, tears, tears all over my pain, pain, pain. So do let me metaphorize the weather, and I'll smile like sunshine upon the sea. I'll be broody like a cloud, and as a storm I'll rage aloud in my meteorological simile.